Hello students, good afternoon. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. So today's lesson is going to be done by me and not by Miss Vishwara. I know that you were waiting impatiently to meet Miss Vishwara today. But since it was myself, Mr. Kaviratna and Miss Radhika did paragraph writing, I thought maybe I would do another session on paragraph writing in case you would need additional support, right? So, oh, පුතේ record එක LMS එකට upload කරනවා. ගිය සතියේ එකත් upload කරන්න බැරි වුණා. මේ ඒකත් අපි ඉක්මනින්ම upload කරන්න. Right? So before we move on with today's lesson, what would you, could you tell me what you have learned so far on paragraph writing? Could you drop a message on the chat box and tell me what you have learned so far? What do you know about paragraph writing? How many parts are there in a paragraph? Yes, Ratnayaka, you are correct. We should have a topic sentence and නෑනේ නිමේෂ අද විශ්වාර මැඩම් නෑනේ අද මම තමයි ඉන්නේ. Yes, Piruntapana. Yes, we should have topic sentence and not supporting sentence, but supporting sentences. And where does the topic sentence normally come in a paragraph? Where does the topic sentence appear in a paragraph? Yes, Tisari, you are correct, right? So it's the first sentence of a paragraph, and then comes the supporting sentences, and then comes the concluding sentence, right? So give me a few seconds, students. I'm having a small issue with my computer. I will be back with you within a few seconds. Okay, so what I was trying to do was actually I was trying to switch on my video so that you could see me, but I'm having a problem with that. So I hope you are okay with only hearing my voice. පුතේ මම වීඩියෝ එක on කරන්න හැදුවේ මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියලා එහෙනම් ඒක on වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මගේ කටහඬ විතරයි ඔයාලට ඇහෙන්නේ. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැනේ නේද? ලෙක්චර් එක හරියට වෙනවා නම් ඇතිනේ නේද? Okay. Now I'm going to, the reason that I thought of going to another lesson on paragraph writing is because, you know, I asked you to do a homework on writing paragraphs. Homework එකක් දුන්නානේ paragraph writing වල. And I noticed that some of you are still haven't got hold of writing a paragraph correctly, right? And as you might already know, we are also going to have an assessment on paragraph writing. So that is why we all thought of doing another lesson on paragraph writing, right? So paragraph writing, in a paragraph, the main idea is stated in the topic sentence or the first sentence of the paragraph, right? So as I told you before, at the very moment I see my topic sentence, then I know what's going to come in the rest of the paragraph, right? Because it's a very clear statement. It has a topic and also it has a controlling idea, and it comes as the first sentence of the paragraph. So at the very moment I see a topic sentence, I must get the message as to what is going to come in the rest of the paragraph, or what this paragraph is actually going to be about, right? And then each and every supporting sentence develops that idea, right? So from the very second sentence onwards until you come to the concluding sentence of your paragraph, all the sentences have to be sentences that support your topic sentence, right? When my lecturer taught me how to write a paragraph, he told me that you have to, it's not a very good saying, okay, but this is what my lecturer told me. He told me that I need to beat the topic sentence to death with evidence and supporting sentences, right? So I need to beat the topic sentence to death with evidence, right? So from my second sentence onwards, all I'm doing is trying to support my topic sentence. Screen is not clear. Okay. Now is it clear? Now is the screen clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So you have to beat your topic sentence to death with evidence from your second sentence onwards. We do not have time to waste on giving definitions or clarifying doubts, clarifying words, right? Those can be done in an introductory paragraph of an essay. But when we come to write in the body paragraphs, or when we come to write in individual paragraphs, we directly need to go into what we have to say, right? If for an example, if you ask at an examination, you have only 2 or 3 hours to complete the exam paper. Therefore, you need to use the maximum time of that to write as much as possible ideas that are relevant to what you have to write, right? Now, because I gave a word limit, I told students to write 150 to 200 words. Sometimes I feel that because you wanted to get the word limit, right, you have been increasing words. I got that feeling as well. Sometimes I might be wrong. හරිද? වචන 150කුත් 200ත් අතර පැරග්‍රාෆ් එකක් ලියන්න කියපු නිසා වචන පුරවන්න ඔය ළමයි පැරග්‍රාෆ් එකේ උත්සාහ කරා කියලා හැඟීමත් මට ආවා. So what actually has to happen is that you need to write to the point. That is what is important when it comes to paragraph writing, right? So look at this sentence. If, for example, you announce in your topic sentence that you are going to discuss 2 important characteristics of gold, discuss only those, right? So you are going to talk about 2 important characteristics of gold, then you are only supposed to discuss about those particular points, right? Don't go to talk about the price of gold or gold mining and all. Then what happens is, although it's related to gold, you are going out of your topic, right? That is where the problem is. So try to always focus on what you have been writing, and continuously go back to what you are writing and see whether you are actually in the correct point, or whether you have moved on to a different area in your paragraph writing. Okay, so now I know you have seen this paragraph several times, right? So let's look at it once more, right? Here comes the topic sentence, and it says gold, a precious metal, is prized for two important characteristics. And then directly the next sentence is on the controlling idea of the topic sentence. It says two important characteristics. So directly the writer has gone to write about the first point that he or she wants to write in his paragraph, right? Then in my second lesson on paragraph writing, I told you about linking words, right? Connecting words, cohesive devices. So I highlighted those in the paragraphs that I am teaching today, because I want you to pay your special attention to these words as well, right? You cannot use them just for the sake of using. They all have a particular meaning and a particular task actually, right? So be careful when you are using them, and make sure that you are using the correct cohesive device, right? So first of all, gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion, right? Therefore, it is suitable for jewelry, coins, and ornamental purposes, right? So the writer brings out the first point as to why uh, gold is important, and then he or she is bringing examples. I know I saw in some of your paragraphs, students had actually tried to do this, so that was very good, right? There, even though there were issues, you have tried the way you can, okay? And then the writer gives an example, right? Evidence, and just doesn't state this point and stop. මෙන්න මේ වාක්‍ය, first of all, gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion කියලා ඊළඟ point එකට යන්නේ නැහැ, right? The writer elaborates on that point and explains that point, give us evidence, examples, and then only the writer moves on to the next point and says another important characteristics of gold is, and then the customer, sorry, and then the writer moves on to the next point, right? So, and in conclusion, today I'm going to teach, I know that Mr. Kaviratna did a lesson on concluding sentences as well, but I thought of adding one or two slides on concluding sentences as well, right? So in the paragraphs that you emailed me, most of you hadn't got the concluding sentence correctly, and that is totally fair, because by then you didn't know what is actually expected from a concluding sentence. So that is why I think most of you were not able to get a concluding, write a concluding sentence correctly, right? Now in this concluding sentence, the writer says, in conclusion, gold is precious not only for its beauty, but also for its utility. So I will talk about this point when I come to discuss about the concluding sentence of a paragraph. Right. So I told you that there are ways that we can write paragraphs. Okay. There are some orders that we can use when we are going to write a paragraph. If any of you can remember, can you tell me what are those orders? If any of you can remember, what are the orders that I taught you in my second lecture on paragraph writing? Yes? Or what are the methods that you can write a paragraph? Yes, students, any of you, can you remember? Paragraph ලියන ක්‍රම තියෙනවා. ඒ ක්‍රම කීපයක් ගැන මම මගේ ලෙක්චර් එකේදී කතා කරා. මතක ළමයෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් කියන්න බලන්න මොකද්ද මේ paragraphs අපිට ලියන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රම. Yes, who would like to give a try and drop a chat message with the answer? Okay, descriptive, that was actually taught by Mr. Kaviratna. I told you ways of writing paragraph. These are also correct answers, right? Descriptive and narrative are ways of writing paragraphs. I talked about, yes, expository, yes, that was also explained by Mr. Kaviratna. I talked about a particular order of writing a paragraph. A particular order. What was that order that I was talking about? These are correct, okay? 21623, 21318. You are correct. Narrative, expository, descriptive, they are all correct. And these are how Mr. Kaviratna taught you to write paragraphs, right? But in my lesson, I told you a particular order that is very important when it comes to writing paragraphs. Can any of you remember the order? Informative. Yeah, once again, Mr. Kaviratna's lecture. So very good. You have a thorough knowledge on Mr. Kaviratna's lecture, and perhaps you have already forgotten what I have taught you. Can any of you remember that I told you that you can write a paragraph with a logical division of ideas? And can any of you remember a logical division of ideas? Okay, Nimesha. No, my God. Burger was taught by Miss Radhika, and narration, description, process, classification. Those are all talked about Mr. Kaviratna. Yes, coherence is of course one particular aspect of writing. Okay, Netmi, thank you. Okay, so I told you that when we come to write in a paragraph, we can divide the paragraph according to a logical division of ideas, right? So this paragraph is a paragraph that is written according to the logical division of ideas. The ideas that come in this paragraph have been divided to some kind of logical order, right? Yes, finally. 21364, yes, I said chronological order and logical division of ideas. Those are methods that I taught in my lesson. So this is a paragraph written according to the logical division of ideas. There are two important characteristics. So first of all, one particular point is discussed and the writer says another important characteristic and then move on to the second important point, right? That is why it is called a paragraph that is written according to the logical division of ideas. 21364. So chronological order. This paragraph is written according to the chronological order, right? So it first of all talks about 1945, then it moves on to 1960, then it goes on to talk about 1971, and then the present situation of computers, right? And when we look at this sentence, the topic centers of this paragraph, in the relatively short span of 60 years, there has been an incredible evolution in the size and capabilities of computers. Sorry. So in the relatively short span of 60 years, right? When we look at this sentence, we get the idea that, okay, the writer is going to write a paragraph in the chronological order. Whereas when we look at this sentence, I get the message that, okay, this is going to be a paragraph that is written according to the logical division of ideas, right? So chronological order, the the writer says that how the evolution of computers have taken place within the last 60 years, right? And then he very clearly says what happened in this particular year, how did it improve when it came to 1960, how it was in 1970, and so on and so forth, right? Here also there's a linking word. However, any of you, do you know the meaning of this linking word, however? Or what comes after the word however? What do you normally expect? Yes, if you need to do an illustration, you can use however. And similarly, if we are going to give a contrasting point also, we can use however, right? So now when we look at the meaning of however, here it is actually to illustrate on the particular point that they have used the word however, and not to show a contrast. But 21612, as you have pointed out, however can be used when we are going to give a comparison and contrast of points also. Then we can use this linking word however, right? Okay, say with that. Yes, yes, that's the English meaning of that. Not 21187, you have said negative. I don't think it's always negative. It can even be a positive point, right? But it can be used to illustrate what you have already been saying, or when you are going to say something that is totally different to what you have been saying, a contrasting point. Before a contrasting point, then you can use the word however, right? Okay, I'm going to move on to my next slide. Now, can you tell me, when you look at this paragraph, what is the order? Is it a chronological order, or is it written according to the logical division of ideas? When you look at the topic sentence, you normally get the hint as to what the order that the writer has used in this paragraph. What is the order do you think that the writer has used? Is it chronological order, or is it the logical division of ideas? Yes? Who would like to try? Yes, Philip, you are correct. It's written according to the logical division of ideas. Living aboard a space station in orbit around the Earth for months at a time poses problem for astronauts' body as well as for their minds. So, if Philip or any other student, if you know, where will okay, no, without reading the paragraph, right? Without reading the paragraph, where will the next point start? What will be the first point and what will be the second point in this paragraph? Without reading the paragraph, please. Yes? When you look at the topic sentence, can you tell me what's going to be the first part of this paragraph and what's going to be the second part of this paragraph? Topic sentence එක දැක්ක ගමන් කියන්න පුළුවන්ද පුතේ මේ topic sentence එකට පස්සේ මොකක් ගැනද මේ writer ලියන්න යන්නේ? topic සහ ඊට පස්සේ මොකක් ගැනද කියන්න යන්නේ කියලා කට්ටියම කියනවා නේද paragraph එක. Yes? Yeah, I know. Text box is hiding. Yes, that's why I want you to tell me right? So when you send chat messages, I need to read the chat messages. Living aboard a space station in orbit around the Earth for months at a time poses problem for astronauts' body as well as for their minds, right? So the first part of the paragraph is going to talk about how living in space is going to affect a person's physical health, right? And then in the next part of the paragraph, the writer is going to talk about how living on space is going to affect a person's mind, right? So bodies as well as for their minds. So the first part is going to be about um, yes, Philip, you are correct. First of all, it's going to talk about how it's going to affect the body and then how it's going to affect the mind, right? So one major problem is maintaining astronauts' physical health. So it's related to this particular point, right? Medical
Dave,
treatment days or even weeks away as there may not be a doctor on board.
Dave,
Illness such as appendicitis or
Dave.
ulcers, routinely treated on Earth, could be fatal in space because of the delay in getting a doctor, right? So now the writer has elaborated and explained very clearly how living on space can affect a person's body, right? And then furthermore, there comes once again, we have a linking word, a cohesive device. Furthermore, why do we normally use furthermore? Furthermore කියන වචනේ අපි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ මොන වගේ දෙයක් කියන්න ඕන වුණාමද? Furthermore, what do you normally expect after the word furthermore? Further clarification, yes. Any other example? Further details, yes, Nimesha, yes, Philip. Distribute further previous sentence. Ratnaika, your point is not very clear, but I think you are trying to say that after the word further, you are going to talk more on the previous sentence. Yes, yes, you are adding something, right? That's correct. So you have all got the meaning of furthermore correctly. That is very good, right? Adding something, yes. Furthermore, surgery may be impossible because blood would float around inside the operating room, right? And then another health problem is the potential for bone deterioration. In a weightless environment, the body produces less calcium. Astronauts must exercise at least 3 hours a day to prevent bone loss. Now, when I look at this sentence, another health problem is the potential for bone deterioration. I don't actually understand what is meant by this, right? In some of your paragraphs also, I saw you have written one sentence and you have stopped and moved on to another point. But the writer has actually explained what we have meant by bone deterioration, right? In a weightless environment, the body produces less calcium. So astronauts must exercise at least 3 hours a day to prevent bone loss, right? So bone deterioration, bone loss is to do with calcium, right? Since the writer went on talking about it, I got an idea of what the writer is actually talking about, right? So when you include one point, try to elaborate on it, right? Try to come to a point that you actually explain what you have written instead of moving on to the next point, right? Then you move on and say a second major problem is, and then the writer moves on to the next particular point, right? Being confined for long periods of time in dark and hostile space undoubtedly produces anxiety. Loneliness and boredom are other psychological concerns. Furthermore, right? So the astronaut is explaining it in more detail. And here, look at these linking words, not only, but also, right? right? So this is another good concluding sentence. I will come to the concluding sentence and I will explain what the difference in and similarities in this concluding sentence and the other concluding sentences, right? So it is clear that space station will require astronauts who are not only physically but also mentally strong, right? I will explain you this concluding sentence later on, right? Look at these linking words. Please pay your attention to on how these have been used as well. Okay. 21748. Are you there? 21748. Other Avilla Dinna lecture. I have taken 4 of your paragraphs as well because I would like to know what you have to say about these paragraphs, about the topic sentences that have been written by your friends, right? Okay, so the various adverse activities that take place in the present have a direct impact on the environment. Students, what do you think of this topic sentence? When you look at this topic sentence, what do you think? Okay, 21748. When I look at your topic sentence, what I felt was that it's a good topic sentence, but I feel that it's a little too broad, right? The information that you have included in the topic sentence, uh, since it's too broad, it's going to be a little difficult for you to explain all this within one paragraph. Okay, so perhaps you can narrow down your topic sentence a little more, and then it might help you in writing this paragraph. Okay, students, can you hear me now? Vikramasinghe? Okay, so here I have given a comment on the second point that you have included, right? So but I have said that shouldn't the second sentence mention an adverse activity and say how it has an impact on the environment, right? So your topic sentence says that there are the various adverse activities that take place in the present have a direct impact on the environment, right? So in the second sentence, maybe you could have started with one of those adverse activities. If you have mentioned one of those adverse activities, it would have been better, right? But you have instead moved directly to talk about the results, right? Instead of talking what the adverse activity is, you have gone and spoken about the results of those adverse activities. So perhaps you could have mentioned one of those adverse activities and then moved on to give the results or the consequences of those activities, right? Now here there's a list. You have given a list here, right? Now, what I told you before was also, it's very easy to give a list of things like this, right? But if you can elaborate on it, right? And tell us exactly, or if you can be a little more specific on the details that you provide, like, for example, melting of ice sheets and glaciers. In which country did it happen, right? In which year did it happen? And how is it affecting, right? If you can elaborate on those points, it would be very effective instead of just mentioning, right? Then you have said range of some infectious diseases. What are those infectious diseases? Can you mention a few of those infectious diseases and how they have become a very tragic situation? මේ විදිහට කරුණු කමා දදා ලියනවට වඩා ඒ කරුණු ගැන විස්තරාත්මකව ලියන්න පුළුවන් නම් පුතේ ගොඩක් හොඳයි. හරිද? මෙහෙම ලියන එකේ වැරද්දක් නැහැ. ඒකට අර විදිහට කරුණක් කියලා ඒකට උදාහරණ සපයලා. Like I showed you in the paragraph, right? If you can give examples and elaborate on those points, then it would be very helpful, right? So then let me move on to the next paragraph. 21028. So I have said, according to the topic sentence, the first part of the paragraph should be about global warming and carbon dioxide. The second part should be about global warming and other gases, right? So you have tried to write your paragraph according to the logical division of ideas. How did you have given two main points, right? Global warming and carbon dioxide is one main point, and global warming and other gases is your other main point. But when I go to read the other sentence of your paragraph, this particular logical division is not to be seen. Okay, I see a lot of information which are of course relevant, but it should have been much better if you could have divided your ideas according to these two main points that you have mentioned in your topic sentence. Then your paragraph would be more organized, right? Then I have also said that you have mentioned solutions. Now in your topic sentence, you do not talk about solutions, right? It's about how global warming gradually affects the temperature through carbon dioxide and gases. And so in such a paragraph, we wouldn't expect you to add the solutions as well. Perhaps you can use a separate paragraph and write on the solutions for global warming instead of including that as well to this particular paragraph itself, right? Okay, again, so there's this problem, right? So global warming is increasing the Earth's surface temperature continuously. So when you write a sentence like this, all your supporting sentences, all the examples should show how global warming is increasing the temperature continuously, right? So this can even be written according to the chronological order, right? You can say how it happened in 1960s, how it is happened in 2000, and how it is happening in 2020, and move on to the present. So this is a paragraph that can be written according to the chronological order. When I look at your topic sentence, that is the idea that I get, right? But your second sentence totally moves on to another side, right? Natural disasters and so on and so forth. Okay, it's just a small correction. Therefore, what is the word that you have tried to include here? And here, however, or however, what is the correct way of writing this word? And the other point that I need to tell you is this a good linking word to end a paragraph, right? Is this a good word to use when you are going to write the conclusion of your paragraph, right? That is a comment that I have given you today. Before the end of today's session, I will give you a few linking words or signaling words that can be used in the concluding sentence of a paragraph, right? Okay, then we have 21733. 21733. Are you there today? So you have included good referencing. I really like when students say from where they actually took the information, right? So in this paragraph, you have written most meteorologists believe that the greenhouse effect is a major cause of global warming, right? So it's very good to include referencing in that way instead of just trying to say with your general knowledge, right? It's good to include the ideas of other people in your paragraph, right? I have said global warming refers to increase in temperature around the earth. So when I read your paragraph, what I felt was perhaps this sentence, the second sentence, can be used as the topic sentence of your paragraph. So maybe you can agree with my point or disagree with my point. But when I read your paragraph, what I felt was that you have written so many reasons for global warming, right? So might as well start with this sentence and say there are a number of reasons for global warming, and then you can go on to talk about the reasons for global warming. Okay, because when this sentence is not going actually not very well connected with the rest of the sentences of your paragraph, that is why I thought perhaps the second sentence can be used as the topic sentence of your paragraph. Here again, so I have said, so there's a list given here: deforestation, traffic jam, congestion, and so on, right? So would you like to elaborate on this point with some evidence and some examples, right? Instead of just saying, instead of just mentioning a list, it would have been better if you have actually elaborated on these points and added a few examples and evidence. Okay, so that's all. I only took 4 paragraphs to see the difference and similarities and how well you have tried to integrate information into your paragraphs, right? Okay, concluding sentence. As I told you, I'm going to now talk about the concluding sentence. A concluding sentence is very important, especially if the paragraph is very long. If it's a very lengthy paragraph, then it's very useful to add a concluding sentence because it signals the end of the paragraph and because it is a reminder of the important points, right? It signals the end of the paragraph, and when the reader sees the last sentence, he gets the idea that, okay, you have come to your conclusion. The student have actually completed the paragraph and that the student have not just uh, ended abruptly, right? So the student have actually come to a conclusion in the paragraph can be seen when you have a concluding sentence. And of course, if it's a very lengthy paragraph, it's important to remind the reader what you are actually talking about so long in this paragraph. So those are things that are done with the use of a concluding sentence. It signals the end of the paragraph, and also it reminds the important points that is given in a paragraph, right? A good concluding sentence signals the end of the paragraph, right? It restates the topic sentence in different words and it summarizes the main points of the paragraph. So these are things that can be done with a concluding sentence. Now I got so many paragraphs, and if you can go back to your paragraphs and see whether these characteristics can be seen in your concluding sentence. Does it actually signal the end of the paragraph? Has it restated the topic sentence in different words, or has the concluding sentence summarized the main points of the paragraph, right? See whether any of these have been done in your concluding sentence. Okay, sorry, Philip. I had to go back to the reduce the size of the lecture slides because I wasn't able to see the comments that I had given on the paragraph. Right. So now let's look at the paragraphs and see how the concluding sentence have been written, right? End of paragraph. You can use any of these words, not all of these words, right? But any of these words, one at a time. You can say finally, in conclusion, in summary, therefore, thus, as a result, or in brief. You can use any of these words and you can signal the reader that you are actually going to write the concluding sentence of your paragraph, right? So when you do that, the first point of a concluding sentence have been done. You have signaled the end of the paragraph by using one of these concluding words or phrases, right? Then the next point, what was the next point? The next point was restate the topic sentence in different words. This is another thing that you can do, right? Now look at this paragraph. This paragraph is about synonyms. Synonyms, what are synonyms? Yes, students, or do you know the meaning of synonyms? Synonyms කියලා තේරුම දන්නවද ළමයි? Synonyms කියන්නේ සමාන පද. Yes, similar words, right? Now there is a technique called paraphrasing, right? I'm not going into detail because you are too young to know about paraphrasing now. But when it comes to paraphrasing, we normally ask students to avoid using the original words. Yes, similar words, correct. Ratnayaka, Nimesha, Philip, you are correct, right? Synonyms are similar words. So when it comes to paraphrasing, we are not supposed to use the original words of the writer, right? So we have to say whatever the writer has said without changing the meaning, but by using other words, similar words, right? So what we normally do is we Google and look for similar words, and we write the original writers saying in different words without changing the meaning, right? But all synonyms are actually not synonyms. That is what is said in this paragraph. So if you Google and try to look for a synonym, be careful. Sometimes the synonym that you come across might not actually be talking what not might not actually be talking about the synonym, or sorry, about the particular word that you are looking for, right? So you have to be very careful when you look for synonyms. හරි අපි ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකට ගාලා සමාන පද හොයනවානේ පුතේ. අමාරු වචනයක් දැක්කම අපි ඒකට ඒ හා සමාන වචනයක් හොයන්න හදනවා. එතකොට ඒ වෙලාවට මේ සමාන පද වගේ තියෙන සමහර වචන ඒ අපි හොයන වචනේ තේරුමත් එක්කම යන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක තමයි මේ පැරග්‍රාෆ් එකෙන් කියන්නේ, right? Synonyms, words that have the same basic meaning, do not always have the same emotional meaning, right? So when it comes to the meaning, there are certain changes in certain words, not all the words, but in certain words, emotionally, the way it sounds may be different, right? For example, the words stingy and frugal both mean careful with money. However, to call a person stingy is an insult, while the word frugal has a much more positive connotation, right? So meaning wise, when it comes to the word insult and when it comes to the word frugal, there are two different meanings emotionally, right? Although they are given as synonyms for stingy, there is a difference when we come to use it, right? Similarly, a person wants to be slender but not skinny and aggressive, right? So synonyms for slender, you get the word skinny and also aggressive. So a person might want to be slender but not skinny. Okay, so even though this skinny has been given as a synonym for slender, it actually does not go with the original meaning. Emotionally, it gives a totally different meaning, right? Okay, and then therefore it is important to be careful in choosing words because many so-called synonyms are not really synonyms at all. Now, as you can see, the writer has come to the conclusion. So he has used the word therefore to signal the conclusion, right? And the writer says, therefore, it is important to be careful in choosing words because many so-called synonyms are not really synonyms. Now, I told you that there are certain things that can be done with the concluding sentence, right? It can restate the topic sentence in different words and it summarizes the main points of the paragraph. When we look at this paragraph, what has the writer done? Has he restated the topic sentence in different words, or has the writer given the most important points of the paragraph? මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම කරලා තියෙන්නේ? ඒ paragraph එකේ concluding sentence එකෙන් topic sentence එකේ කියලා තියෙන දේ වෙනත් වචන වලින් කියලා තියනවාද? නැත්නම් paragraph එකේ සාකච්ඡා කරපු ප්‍රධාන දේවල් ටික සඳහන් කරලා තියෙනවාද? What has been done? Yes, students, according to your understanding, what do you think that has been done in this concluding sentence? The writer has signaled the conclusion by using this word. And what has he done? Restated the topic sentence in different words or given the main ideas of the paragraph? What do you think the writer has done? Yes? If you don't answer, my idea is that you haven't understood, right? Yes, Philip, you are correct. The writer Ratnayaka. We'll see. Okay, Pute. Now you have said that the main ideas about the paragraph. Brief idea about the main idea about the paragraph, right? So where does the main idea come, Ratnayaka? Where does the main idea of the paragraph come? In the topic sentence. So what? So what has the writer done then? What he has done is restated the topic sentence in different words. That is what the writer has done here. Okay. Now let's look at my favorite paragraph, gold, right? In conclusion, by using these words, the reader has signaled the conclusion, right? Gold is precious not only for its beauty, but also for its utility. Now, when we look at this point, has it restated the topic sentence in different words, or has the concluding sentence given the most important points? What has been done in this concluding sentence? Yes? Has the topic sentence been restated, or have the main points been mentioned? Yes, have given the important points, right? So those are things that you can do in a concluding sentence, whereas in most of your sentences, what you have actually done is you have gone to give solutions for global warming, which is totally out of the topic. Hari? Concluding sentence එකකින් conclusion එක mark කරලා topic sentence එක වෙන වචන වලින් කියන එක කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් paragraph එකේ discuss කරපු ප්‍රධානම කරුණු දෙක හරි තුන හරි ආපහු මතක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරි? But what most of you have done is you all have started on global warming and ended with the solutions that we as humans can do, which is totally out of the topic sentence, right? So these sentences are all connected to one another, and anything new cannot be included in your concluding sentence. අලුත් කරුණක් concluding sentence එකට එන්න බෑ පුතේ. හරිද? paragraph එකේ මේ තාක් සාකච්ඡා කරපු ප්‍රධාන කරුණු නැත්නම් paragraph එකේ topic sentence එක වෙනත් වචන වලින් කියන ඒ කාරණා දෙක තමයි concluding sentence එකකින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, so these are let me go back to so these are linking words. See how they have been used and see what comes after and before these linking words, and try to use them also in your writing, right? So this is the list of concluding sentences that, sorry, this is the list of cohesive devices that I gave you in my previous lecture. And as you can see, the same cohesive device can be used for different meanings, right? So for comparison contrast also we can use however when we have to give opposite meanings. Then for illustrations also we can use thus, and for cause and effect also we can use thus. So this is the activity that I gave in my previous slide, and that's it, students. That's all I have for you today, and I hope that I was able to clear doubts about paragraph writing, and I hope that I have not confused you, right? So there is this activity that I would like you to try on your own, and global warming paragraph එකට conclusion විදිහට advice එකක් වගේ දෙයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. advice දෙන්න පුළුවන් පුතේ මේක essay එකක් නම්. හරිද? essay එකට අපිට තියෙනවා වෙනම concluding paragraph එකක්. එතනදී අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් අපේ අදහස්. හරිද? විය යුත්තේ කුමක්ද වගේ දේවල් අපිට essay එකක concluding sentence එකක කියන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි paragraph එකකදී අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් individual paragraph එකක් ලියනකොට ඒ paragraph එකේ concluding sentence එක ඒ paragraph එකට සීමා වෙනවා. මේ paragraph එකේ concluding sentence එක දක්වා කතා කරපු ටික ගැන විතරයි ඔයාලට කියන්න පුළුවන්. advice එකක් වගේ එකක් දෙන්න බෑ global warming paragraph එකකට. ඒ ගැන මේ paragraph එක advice ගැන නෙවෙයි න 20744 තේරුණාද පුතේ? හරිද? So we will be talking about essay writing in our next semester, and I'm sure you will better understand what we are actually trying to say, right? Okay. So do you have any questions with regard to today's lecture? And you can try this paragraph writing activity on your own, right? So video games, now remember the points that I told you and the points that Mr. Kaviratna and Mr. Radhika have also been telling you with regard to writing paragraphs, right? Try to take all those points into your head and try to write a well-organized paragraph on topic sentence. Assignment ගැන කියනවා පුතේ හෙට කියනවා. 21421, Mr. Kaviratna will talk about the assignment tomorrow and of course on Monday as well. Okay, so the videos 20678 clear නැහැ කියනෝනේ screen එක මේව අපි පුතේ upload කරනවා LMS එකට. එතකොට මීට වඩා පැහැදිලිව බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. Okay, do you have any more questions on today's lecture? Yes, it can be done as a homework, right? You can do it individually or even as a group. If you don't have any questions, then we can okay, thank you 21354. I really hope 21081 Tisari, I really hope that you are saying the truth. Okay, thank you very much, students. Then that's it for today. I will end my lesson and hope to see you all tomorrow during Mr. Kaviratna's lecture.